Good morning. I am Gene Schoeck. I'm the Work-Based Learning Coordinator at Gloucester High School. This is my third year doing that. I started out at Gloucester as a criminal justice cybersecurity teacher. We're going to talk about how can your business or nonprofit benefit from partnering with CTE or work-based learning in the high school. Next. What is career and technical education, otherwise known as CTE? It is a hands-on approach to learning that prepares students for high-demand careers by combining academic instruction, technical training, real-world experience. It's students that are learning trades. It's what used to be known as vocational tech, VOTech back in the day. CTE is getting students prepared for the workforce. Next. And work-based learning is an important component of that because you have the CTE training, the instructors teach the students the trades. And that's great. The instructors are industry professionals, but sometimes they've been out of the industry for several years, so we rely on partners to kind of keep us in line with today's industry standards. So work-based learning, education, industry partnership model, and that gives the students a hands-on experience, whether it's in a workforce or maybe our business partners come to the school, but it helps build our talent the pipeline that employers need. Next. This is just a list of all the CTE programs that we have now at the high school. There's a lot. I'm not going to read all of those, but they are there. And we are, and one thing that I should add is that I don't have on the list that we will be adding later this year, not at the beginning of the school year, but the second semester. We received a grant and we are looking to add an HVAC program. So that's a very needed trade in Gloucester. Next. So the class of 2026, our grads, we had 352 graduates. 203 of them were CTE completers, meaning they completed a sequence in CTE, which a sequence is they have to take 2 classes of the same. So like they would take Auto Tech 1 and Auto Tech 2, and they'd have to get an industry certification. So they also pass an ASE certification exam. So 203 out of 352, that's pretty good. We're actually hoping in the near future to make CTE for all. So, one day that number will be 352. Next. High quality work-based learning. So we talked about work-based learning. High quality work-based learning, that's something that actually VDOE tracks for, that we report to VDOE, our high quality work-based learning. Internships, apprenticeships, those two are both where students are going out into the workforce, whether an internship they're working paid or non-paid. Mostly the model is if you should be paying them, you should be paying them. But there are unpaid internships. Apprenticeships are like an internship, except they're doing maybe some more training with the employer in addition to the training they're doing at the high school. Entrepreneurship, that's where students maybe start their own business. They're, whether it's something through the school, something outside the school, and a lot of times we have an entrepreneurship program, so a lot of times it's tied to that program, but it doesn't have to be. It can be among any one of those CTE programs. School-based enterprise, we have several programs that do school-based enterprise, and that is where the students are providing a service to customers. So you have the Auto Tech program, they do work on cars for customers. They charge a small fee. Maybe they do an oil change for $20 or something like that. Carpentry builds a lot of things. You may have seen on Facebook, they're selling things, people are buying things. They sold a couple sheds this last year. And culinary, they do lunches for the staff, that staff can buy the lunch, and cosmetology cuts hair for customers, whether it's students or staff. And supervised agricultural experience, we have an agricultural program where the students participate in almost like it's like a school-based enterprise, except it's specific to agriculture. We have the veterinary science where they would do something, they do grooming, they do the pet washing, and they grow flowers for like the floriculture and sell the flowers. And a clinical experience, that's a very important part of our health sciences. We have nurse aide, and patient care tech and EMT, they all have to do a clinical experience actually to get their certification. So they have that clinical experience where they do, I believe it's 40 hours for a nurse aide to do a clinical experience with, like say Riverside or one of the hospitals around. Next. Now, other work-based learning opportunities, which are not necessarily high quality, but doesn't mean they're not good. Job shadowing, where maybe a student kind of goes and shadows with an employer for a day or two or a week or something like that. It's not tied into specific hours, where the other ones are tied into specific hours. A service learning project, an example of that, like a few years ago, my cybersecurity class put together presentations to give to the Bay Aging, the senior center, for safe cyber practices for seniors. So that was something they did as a service learning project. Externships, an example of an externship is not, it's like where a student might be working alongside someone, but it's a short period, like a day. Recently, I had students complete a skilled trades boot camp where they were with Miller Services, Gloucester Toyota. They might have spent a day in HVAC with an HVAC technician, and a day with an electrician, and maybe a day with a plumber. And that's considered an externship because it's just, they're spending one day learning the trade. They're working alongside them, but they don't have the, they're not gaining a lot of experience, but they're gaining enough to know that whether it's something maybe they want to do or not. A mentorship would be maybe where someone, meets with a business and industry professional regularly. It might not be like a day-to-day thing, but maybe they meet with them monthly, every other month or something like that, to mentor them for their career goals. And cooperative education, that's where a big co-op that we use is an auto tech, where a student in their third year works in a garage in addition to doing their in-school training. So they'll do their in-school training and work with a garage, and that's how the cooperative works, is that we're talking to the service advisor about how that student's doing and that kind of thing. Next. Other ways that organizations can partner with CTE. Guest speaking career presentations. Those are great. Guest speaking, Reggie's done some guest speaking to financial classes. Career presentations, whether it's set up somewhere for lunch or something like that, and you have a table, and the students can come and say, hey, what's this? And they ask for more information. Industry feedback and skills on skills and workforce needs. We have a CTE advisory council that meets 3 times during the school year, and that we rely on the businesses and industry professionals to kind of help us make sure that we're teaching the right, to today's industry standards. You guys are the professionals in the industry today, so it's a partnership to help us make sure that we're teaching relevant to today's standards. Attend GHS career fairs. I have career fairs every year. We have a lot of businesses. I know Rachel comes to every single one of them, and showcases what you do, whether you're hiring or just showing the career. It's a really good time for the students to see if what's available in the community. And any other suggestions, whatever you all have that maybe you don't see, say, hey, how about this? I'm open to suggestions. Next. So the benefits, early access to emerging talent. The students are wanting to learn, and that's important. I think as an employer, you want someone that wants to learn. And it reduces, if they're part of, like, say, an internship or an apprenticeship, it definitely reduces recruitment and onboarding costs because they're already there. They're learning that trade, and you already have them on board. They know a seamless transition. Opportunity to shape training aligned to industry needs. So yeah, exactly. That helps us, as I was saying, the teachers, shape our training to align with today. And a stronger community presence and workforce development impact. It's all about the community. It's a small community, and I like to see the students stay in the community. So that's why I try to build these business partnerships here in Gloucester. Sure, there's a lot going on other side of the river, and sometimes they got to go over there for their career. But the more we can keep in this community, the better. And that's pretty much it. Thank you. Any questions, I guess? Is this question time?
This is question time.
You're using your own lettuce, thank goodness for that, because we want to keep our staff around.
Yes. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about scheduling or transportation, or what you find works well? Obviously, there's still commitments at the school, and so what do you find works best if someone wants to offer some sort of internship or work with a student?
Transportation, like you said, that's one of the biggest things for students, because a lot of students, and I've kind of peeked at like statistics, today compared to 1997, there are way less students driving, way less students getting their licenses when they can. And it makes it hard. Either they don't want to, they're scared, or their parents don't want them, I don't know what. So transportation is always an issue. We really can't afford to have transportation for everybody from the school. But some of the other shortcomings might be the hours. Some employers, and we understand that, is, for instance, like especially if they're working in like with a plumber or something like that. That plumber is going to go in his service van probably from 8 a.m. to whenever, most likely. That student couldn't be in school that day, obviously. So that doesn't work. If they're still in school, they still got to be in school. So it's sometimes it's hoping some employers can kind of work around that, where maybe, because a lot of students, especially when they're ready to get into the workforce, their 11th and 12th grade year might have early outs where they can leave at lunchtime to go work. And we can make, depending on what CTE classes they're taking, make that a part of their schedule where they are leaving to work in the afternoon. I mean, for instance, I do have a student, he's doing an internship right now over this summer at Gloucester Toyota to be a technician, and he's going to be able to go to work during the school year, his senior year, for the last period of the day. So he'll be able to leave like at 1 o'clock to go to work there and continue his internship through the school year, where the intent is to hire him full time after he graduates. So it takes a little bit of collaboration between the employer and the school, because they still got to go to school. We don't want them to get the idea like, hey, I can quit school and go do this now. We never want that. So it takes a little collaboration for that hour piece. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have you seen much of an increase in the interest in CTE over the last year or so with all the stuff going on, like say MicroWorks Foundation and things of that sort?
Well, I don't know about like in the last year, but certainly in the last probably 10 or so years, there's been an increase in CTE. I mean, I think I was, I guess a child of CTE when it was VOTech. I went to auto tech, auto mechanics in my school. And at that time, it was like, you're not going to college, this is what you're doing. But now that's really not the answer. This is fine if you're going to college. It's the workforce. It's preparing for the workforce, just like colleges. And sometimes, especially with some of the programs we have, technology, that's fine. You go through our cybersecurity class, and you might not go in the workforce. You might go on to college. There are some technology programs that we don't have that we would love to have that would probably be the same thing, where you would not necessarily be going into the workforce right away, still going to college. Even, especially like our health sciences, there's probably a 50-50 there, where they go out into the workforce or they go into college and get more education to maybe you become an RN or something like that. But
So I was just listening to something about, from Micro, about his foundation, 30 jobs, if y'all know Micro. But there's a huge push right now at the federal level to put a lot of money into specifically defense industrial, welding, plumbing, data centers. They say an average plumber salary with no degree is making upwards of $200,000 now working for data centers. So there's a lot of push. I was just curious to see if it was filtering down yet. And then, and we're using that some with veterans. I work with veterans, but some of the younger veterans just getting out of the military, we're trying to push them into that,
right.
specifically the Micro Foundation. And so it just looks very promising with what they're putting into it and the availability of jobs and training and opportunities to get that training. So I didn't know if that was something that maybe was filtering down to where y'all might be doing some. When I was in high school, we were doing night classes
Right.
for people that weren't in high school to go into like the wood shop or the auto shop or something like that and get continuing education. I wasn't sure if there was those kind of opportunities.
We have talked about adult education, but that's something that we're just talking about that would probably take years to allow to happen at our level anyway, at the high school. But I do know what you're talking about. I mean, I do share opportunities that there is free training for students or for anybody really to go work on submarines, basically, because we need to build a bunch of submarines, and there's free training available for that. I share that with the students. I think what thing is at our level, students are not looking that far ahead. They, they're looking for now, so they don't necessarily see the impending, importance there. Some of them do, but they do know they want to make money. So when they are presented those opportunities, they will look at them, and hopefully that opportunity, that incentive, does come back to the schools in the form of grants and stuff like that to start more programs.
And then second side, the agriculture side, is there a Waterman basis?
We do have, maybe not complete, because we're limited to teaching what's in the VDOE curriculum, but we do include aquaculture in the agricultural class. I know students have gone to the aquaculture program at RCC over the summer and have competed. Our teacher is a part of that as well. So it's definitely something that I try to promote the aquaculture as much as I can here.
So the VMRC, Virginia Marine Resources Commission, they have a great, what's called an apprenticeship program. I think they're changing it to internship just because of the technicalities with the Department of Education. But I think they have 40 and upwards of 60 now apprentices in that program to get them into the waterman field, whether it be aquaculture or just working on a crab boat. So just something to think about.
That would be
really
great.
Pushing it, and they're really trying to get some funding for it and get some buy-in. And since we're so close to VMRC's offices anyway, a lot of watermen around, I think that would be a good plus.
It would be. I try to coordinate with some of the local, probably the bigger businesses, because I don't know everybody. That's I welcome everybody, obviously, but and sometimes they just get too busy to follow up, because I understand. they're busy all the time, and we have had students. I had a student, not this past summer, but the summer before, worked at I think he worked at Kapahosik for the whole summer, and they said he was a great student. So it's great. I definitely welcome those opportunities, and if anybody has those opportunities, please let me know.
Any other questions for Gene? I do just want to chime in real quick that, I have kids that are now out of school. I still have one left in high school, but when they were trying to go into the workforce, it was a lot different than when all of us went to work. Like, I went as soon as I could go get hired somewhere. My oldest had the worst time trying to find a place that would hire him because of insurance reasons, and he is very much a tradesman. He is very much someone who needs to use his hands and everything. Even working at Lowe's, sweeping a floor in an auto mechanic shop, he could not do those things because of insurance purposes, and this is an opportunity where you could really impact a child, and I cannot tell you the spiritual difference and purpose, just being able to give them the opportunity to work with their hands, even if they don't think they want the opportunity. Your students, you said they're in that program for a reason. My child got to be in the summer internship, I think one of the first years before you were in that role, and I don't think it was exclusive to CTE at the time. But when he got in there, he was not a CTE student, and I will tell you, I had people coming up to me that didn't even know him about the impact that made on my child. Just being able to do it for a week and being able to use his hands and do something other than sitting in a classroom. So if you don't know what to do, Gene can have a conversation and tell you that interest of students, and you can come up with something together. Or brainstorm it with some other partners. There's always things they can do, and it really does make a difference, even if it's only a few days.
Yeah, and I should make a caveat that that I do run into a lot of the problem with age. When school starts in the next couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks down the road here, it's coming really quick. I'll run a report and see how many students in that school are 18, and it's usually only like 30, 35. And I get a lot of businesses say, no, they got to be 18, which makes it tough. And I understand that there are insurance liability reasons for that, because a lot of that does not fall to the Department of Labor laws, the child labor laws. They're fine with that. It's more the liability. And if there's ways we can work around that, and Reggie's helped me work around that for last summer. We had students internship in commercial lending where 2 students, which was great. And we had to,
Hoping to get you back next year too.
yeah.
So, I didn't get to keep up with that part, but it's just interesting because all the businesses, you'll hear them go, oh, these kids don't have experience. Well, it's really hard in some situations to get them in there. So even if it is an insurance for some roles, maybe there are other opportunities with your organization or even nonprofit. If you don't see it, maybe there's something they can do as a minor.
And I will say, as a mother of a graduate of 2022 that went through the auto tech program there, he's now a tech at Gloucester Toyota.
Okay.
So he is working alongside your students as they come in and guiding them and helping them. And I'm quite proud of what he does, even though sometimes it costs me some money when my vehicles break. He's a great asset to our family as well because he comes along and he helps us too. So he's going out there and he's helping, giving back to the community with what he learns, where his sister, who just graduated this year, is going off to college. So two different sides in our family. So
Cool.
so thank you for what you do for our
100%
students.
thank you.
I just want to say we appreciate what you do. I used to, in my previous profession, like run career colleges. It's
Yeah.
a lot different, like you say, than 5 years ago. To this gentleman's point with how much they're making now. So I think it's an exciting time, especially as a white collar job, to get lost to automation and AI. It's
Mhm.
perfect time for us to get on these things.
Absolutely, yeah.